Occupy Wall Street by Sidney Benjamin. On Monday, September 26, 2011, business workers in the financial district of New York were prepared to ignore and avoid protesters, but what they weren't prepared for is the influence and attention these people would receive from viewers around the world. In 2011, America as a nation was pretty aware of the hand social media could have in dispersing information instantly, but in that same year, sites such as Twitter began to redefine protests in America. The first Occupy Wall Street protest took place in Zuccotti Park, which is located in the Wall Street financial district of New York. The nonviolent movement was organized in protest of the large corporations ran by wealthy Americans that have caused and recovered from the 2008 recession and subsequently left the 99% in shambles. This is according to the protesters and their supporters. Post reports the 99% as those Americans who are paying the cost for the bad decisions made by the wealthy. While referring to the financially burdened Americans as the 99% is statistically incorrect, it serves as more of a metaphor. The phrase which is often recognized across social networking sites as hashtag we are the 99% at the height of protests is meant to bring attention to the inequalities between working Americans who are of the majority and the few wealthy who make these big financial decisions. For the first time in American history, social media played a huge role in spreading the ideas and demands of this peaceful protest of the government. It all began with a post on Adbusters, an anti-consumerist magazine which called for thousands of people to congregate in the financial district. The post was published on July 13th of 2011 and grew from then on. The movement and its functions were largely influenced by the Arab Spring uprisings in the Middle East, especially those in Egypt and Syria. Like the Arab Spring movement, the Occupy Wall Street movement spread all across its native region and influenced many people to speak out against what they perceived to be a corrupt government. The Occupy movement spread extremely rapidly, particularly because of the fact that it's a nonviolent movement. Because nonviolence is ideally a more safe and effective method, more people are then drawn to the cause and are willing to support. In the book Nonviolence, The History of a Dangerous Idea, Mark Kurlansky talks about Gandhi's belief that being passive and inactive is worse than violence, because this means that you are just allowing injustice and doing nothing to create positive change. This idea of anti-pacifism and a desire to be a part of change is what helped the movement spread rapidly. The hashtag Occupy became a significant method of tracking the movement specifically in major cities. A website that is known as Occupy Directory used hashtags beginning with the word Occupy and news to capture where in the nation and world people have adopted these ideas and have joined in solidarity with Occupy Wall Street. Peaceful protests took place across the nation, but the protests in New York grew to be the largest as well as the most influential. As many as 5,000 Americans gathered in Lower Manhattan to protest corporate corruption, many of which were youth. Many people believe that older, fed-up middle-aged workers led and run uprisings, but demonstrations such as this and the Arab Spring proved this idea wrong. The young people are the main users of social media and have been the main ones speaking out against this corruption. Occupy Wall Street movement, as often perceived by critics, is not specifically a protest of the United States government and all that it stands for, but rather a protest of how its leaders have so willingly allowed big businesses to take over and run the economy into the ground, which is the thoughts of the protesters and everyone that supports them. Contributor to rapid youth involvement is education. According to a U.S. News article from 2014, the average national college loan debt after graduation for more than 69% of graduates is around $30,000. This outrageous figure is largely influenced by the increase of college tuition by institutions due to inaccurate public perception. Claudio Sanchez, a writer for NPR, articulated that college administrators have taken advantage of the public's false belief that a high tuition means a quality education. Because this notion has persisted, people have continued to literally pay the price. So how did things turn out from these protests? Well, with the 4th anniversary of Occupy Wall Street coming up in a few months, many believe that this movement died off a few years ago, but this couldn't be further from the truth. Though active protests with people taking to the streets are rare, thousands of people continue to speak out about the issues at hand, specifically through social media sites. On Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, you can visit the Occupy Wall Street hashtag at any given time and see recent posts involving the topic and various sentiments. A feature that can be found on many social media outlets is the location setting, which allows friends and viewers to see where certain topics are trending, which is extremely beneficial when it comes to protests like this one. Like with many other nonviolent movements, it is extremely unlikely to see any great immediate change, but the Occupy Wall Street movement forced the government to listen to their demands and publicly address the issues at hand. Movements like this one help to inspire others to get involved in change of any kind and are important in spreading the power and effectiveness that nonviolence can have throughout the world.